If you're a Java developer, you know the drill. Parsing, matching, and building URLs can be, well, a real chore. It's tedious and super error-prone. Today, we're going to dive into URIUtil, a seriously cool toolkit from the wffweb framework that's designed to make all those headaches just disappear. Let's see how it makes our lives easier.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You're wrestling with endless split calls, substring methods, and a bunch of messy regular expressions just to pull a user ID out of a path. It's a total distraction from what you're actually trying to build. Well, URIUtil is here to end that struggle for good.
So here's our game plan. We'll start with a quick look at what URIUtil actually is. Then we'll get our hands dirty with its four main powers: extracting variables from paths, matching URI patterns, doing a full-blown parse of a complex URI, and finally building and taking apart URIs with some handy utilities. So what is this magic class we're talking about? Put simply, URIUtil is a utility class from the wffweb framework. Its whole reason for existing is to make your life easier by simplifying those common but often really tricky URI operations. Think of it like a specialized Swiss Army knife, just for your URLs. First step in the toolkit, the precision extractor. You know, one of the most common things we do in web dev is grab dynamic values from a URL path, like a user ID or a product SKU. URIUtil's parse values method does this with surgical precision. It's awesome. So, let's say you've got a template for your routes, like this one here. You use these curly braces to define a placeholder. In this case, it's user ID. Now, when a real request comes in, like the actual URI you see below it, you need a clean way to grab that 123 and know it belongs to user ID. And here's how ridiculously simple it is. You just pass the template and the actual URI into URIUtil.parseValues. What you get back is a beautiful little map where the key is your variable name from the template and the value is the actual data from the URI. It's so clean, so readable, and you completely avoid all that messy string splitting nonsense. Now, this is where things get really interesting. What if you need to capture something that spans multiple path segments, like a full file path? URIUtil has this unique syntax for that exact problem, the multipath variable wrapped in square brackets. And let me tell you, this thing is greedy. It'll snatch up as many segments as it can. Check out this example. That /path variable is in greedy mode. It captures that whole middle section, documents/folder/file.pdf, as one single string. This is an absolute game changer for routing to files or any time a part of your path is dynamic in length. Super powerful stuff. All right, next tool on our kit is the pattern validator. It's not always about grabbing data. Sometimes you just need a simple yes or no. Does this URL match a certain pattern? For that, URIUtil gives us two really useful methods. These two methods are pattern matches and pattern matches base. The difference is super simple to remember. Pattern matches is strict. It looks for a perfect, exact match of the path. On the other hand, pattern matches base is a bit more relaxed. It just checks if the URI starts with your pattern, and it doesn't care if there's extra stuff at the end. So let's see pattern matches in action. With a template of /user/ID, it happily returns true for /user/123. Perfect match. But it returns false for /user/123/posts because of that extra /posts bit on the end. It demands an exact match, no more, no less. Now let's flip over to pattern matches base. Remember that URI that failed before, /user/123/posts? Well, this method returns true. Why? Because the URI starts with the /user/ID pattern. This is absolutely perfect for things like parent routes or middleware that need to apply to a whole section of your application. Okay, so far we've nailed down path variables and pattern matching. But what happens when you need to understand the entire URI, the path, the query string, and the hash fragment all in one go? For that, we pull out the big gun, URIUtil.parse. The parse method is basically a 3-in-1 deal. In a single call, it extracts all your path variables, just like parse values. Then it decodes the entire query string into a structured map. And finally, it grabs that hash fragment right off the end of the URL. Now this is where it all comes together. Look at how it just demolishes this complex URI. The method gives you back a parsed URI object. From that object, you can get the clean path name and your path parameters like item ID. But look at the query parameters. It even handles repeated keys like status by giving you a list of values. That's a lifesaver for things like multi-select forms.
And of course, you get the hash. It's a complete, beautifully structured breakdown of the entire URI.
Last but not least, let's check out the utility knife functions. These are the simpler helpers for those times when you don't need a full parse, but you just want to quickly build or break apart different pieces of a URI.
The toURIInfo method is a super lightweight deconstructor. You feed it a full URI string, and it hands you back an object with 3 simple things: the path name, the raw query string, and the hash. It doesn't bother parsing the parameters for you, it just splits the string into its 3 main parts. Quick and easy.
And on the flip side, we have the builder methods. Let's say you have all your query parameters neatly stored in a Java map. The build query string methods will take that map and correctly format and encode everything into a valid query string for you. Say goodbye to manual string concatenation and worrying about where the ampersands go.
And what's great is how flexible the toolkit is here. It gives you several different builder methods depending on your data structure. So whether you have simple key-value pairs or a key that maps to multiple values like in an array or a collection, there's a specific helper method just waiting to build the exact query string you need. So let's do a quick recap of our new toolkit. URIUtil gives you this complete, really cohesive set of tools. You've got parse values for extraction, pattern matches for validation, parse for the full-on breakdown, and a bunch of utilities for simple building and deconstruction. Every tool has a clear, specific job.
And that's our tour of the URIUtil toolkit. It's designed from the ground up to bring clarity, safety, and a whole lot of simplicity to what can be a really messy part of web development. So the only question left is, how are you going to use these tools to clean up your own routing logic and make your code that much better?